Okay, take a look at this argument. If it is snowing, then the mail will be late. It's not snowing, therefore the mail will not be late. So the question for us is this a valid argument? Is it possible for the conclusion statement to be false even when I assume the premise statements are true? So I'm going to assume it's true that if it's snowing, then the mail will be late, and I look outside and it's not snowing. Can I be 100% certain that that means the mail will not be late? And intuitively, it's pretty easy to grasp that, well, no. I mean, maybe it is true that if it's snowing, the mail will be late. And maybe it is true that it's not snowing. But that's not enough to be able to conclude with 100% certainty that the mail will not be late. I can think of a whole bunch of circumstances that might cause the mail to still be late. Like maybe the mail truck gets a flat tire, or the mail carrier gets bit by a dog, or there's a whole host of circumstances that could cause the mail to be late, even though it's not snowing, and even though if it were snowing, the mail would be late. Why is that? Well, think back to our conversation about the relationship between sufficient and necessary conditions. We know that what appears on the left-hand side of a horseshoe is a sufficient condition to imply that what exists on the right-hand side of the horseshoe is also true. But it's not necessary, okay? It's not necessary that it be snowing for the mail to be late. It's just sufficient that if it's snowing, the mail will be late. So the fact that it's not snowing doesn't allow us to draw any conclusions about the statement that exists on the right-hand side of the horseshoe. And if we looked at our conditional statement truth table, we'd see on lines 3 and 4, what appears on the right-hand side of the horseshoe is true and false. And on both of those lines, what appears on the left-hand side is false. Okay, so here what we have is another argument form. It's called denying the antecedent, and it doesn't matter what the statements are that are in the argument. If it takes on this form, where we have one of the premises negating or denying what appears on the left-hand side of a horseshoe in the other premise, we have an invalid argument. This is an argument that is not reliable, okay? So what appears on the left-hand side of the horseshoe is called the antecedent. That statement is called the antecedent. It means here's the statement that came before, okay? And what appears on the right-hand side is called the consequent. Here's what is true as a consequence of what the left-hand side of the horseshoe being true, okay? So any argument that takes this form where one of the premises denies the antecedent is a DA, and it's invalid, and like our other argument forms, it doesn't matter what the order of the premises is. What matters is what's going on. If we negate or deny the truth of the antecedent, the left side of the horseshoe in our other premise, we have a fallacious form of argument, denying the antecedent, and that argument is invalid.